Yes, yes, yes. We're on Let's Think and we are live.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we're live on
Live
Let's
and
Think
direct.
Podcast. I'm your host, Sheikh Seven Islam Mel. We got our co-host, Brother Jarvis McGriffith.
On time, people. On time.
Yeah. Once again, allow me to, reiterate. Please shop with the Fez dealer. Go check him out on Instagram, Sheikh Sufi Fez. Catch him on Facebook, Sheikh Sufi Fez. You catch him Fez dealer. Go get your urban Islamic Sufi experience. The brother's a master at his craft, from fashion to whatever you need. Just get with the brother Fez dealer. All right. And before I begin, allow me to rise, giving all thanks and perfect praises unto Allah. Highest honors to his holy prophet. Honors to the forerunner Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Honors to my leadership, Brother L. Portisel. Honors to my leadership, Sister M. Portisel. Honors to all leadership, past, present, and future. Honors to the Moore Science Temple of America. Honors to everybody participating in the comprehensive program of uplifting fallen humanity. And honors to each and every one of you. Yes. And
Yes,
so
sir.
we're, of course, Let's Think Podcast, and we're back with another one. Um, this one right here is definitely a topic that has become, rather it seems like it chose me a little bit. So, you know, the brother reached out to me, and the rest is history. So allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is um we have our brother Amir. Brother Amir, talk to us, man. Introduce yourself to the Let's Think podcast platform before we get into this brilliant presentation that I had the honor to see before you presented. So let's go, brother, man. How you?
Islam, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, family. I'm your brother Amir Al Nasir, Ariel Jose Marante-Bey. I want to extend my honors to the Supreme Grand Sheikh R. Edwards L., National Grand Sheikh George Turner L., and all the Unity Temples. I want to give praises and honors to the Creator, the one who bestowed to us all of this great knowledge and information and wisdom. I want to extend those honors to all of the ancestors who have been able to preserve this sacred doctrine and these sciences. I want to extend those honors to Olugere Oyekumeji. I want to extend those honors to Remi Herrera Adeshina. I want to extend those honors to Jose Antonio Mauricio Obeate. Extend those honors to Bernardo Rojas Iretentendi, Miguel Febles Odica. And I want to extend those sacred honors to all the great high priests who have preserved the sacred sciences of Ifa. I want to extend those honors to all the our priestesses who have preserved the sacred sciences, and all of our priests, including all of our ancestors. Before I begin, I want to. There's a traditional aspect of giving praise and honors in our culture is where we pay homage through Iba. So I'm going to start by saying Omi Tutu, Ona Tutu, Ile Tutu, tutularo ide tutularo baba tutularo aje omi to tenu eja wako si tutu baba yin ọmọdé kí bá omi sọkẹ àgbàlagbà kí bá omi sọta olomi tutu irinse olomi tutu irinse olomi tutu irinse olomi tutu irinse oti irinse oti irinse oti irinse Olodumare ba Olodumare ba Olodumare ba. Ashe. With that, I want to extend honors also to our ancient ancestral mothers, and there's honors to Osheturai Fani Apadi Balero Nimo, Agiri Timo Timo, Galiba Jeberi, Fafungi Yawashoro, Oga. Tisha Yawo, Arue Boloni, Ebo Wafing, Ajuba Yawashoro Moga, Ajuba, Ashe Tutuloni, Tutuwada, Atijuba, Eyawashe de Boga, Ajuba, Ashe Olodumare. Extend those honors to all the forces in nature, all the forces of the heaven celestial bodies. Ikako trupondere di fafungi bati shemo odudua iba baba iba yeye iba olu iba dubona iba wakoda iba washeda iba moro iba mosu iba gbogbo irúmọlẹ̀ dukotun iba gbogbo irúmọlẹ̀ dukosin iba ìwà oòrùn iba àríwá iba gúúsù iba ìlà oòrùn iba ìgbàlàyé iba oòrùn ọ̀kẹ́ iba tiwọ̀ oòrùn àyà àmọ́fi ohun tiwa àwàdàṣẹ́ kí oòrùn má ṣàgbá ìfàgbàláyé ọ̀pẹ̀ gbà lórùn ọ̀wẹ̀rẹ̀ jẹ́ ń jẹ́ parakóńgò barisa àṣẹ ẹlẹ́dùnmáre. Peace and love, family. Thank you for the opportunity to be on this podcast. Today, we're going to be expanding on a very great conversation. It's going to be based on the Lukumi experience of Moorish ancestry within the Americas, prepared by myself. I had the pleasure to communicate with the brother on Sheikh Seven, and coordinate this in about 3 or 4 day notice. So I want brothers and sisters to cope with us and bear with us. This presentation is going to be very powerful. We're going to be able to bring clarity to a lot of subjects that have been hidden in the darkness. A lot of misunderstandings, misrepresentations are going to get clarified, and we're going to be able to understand the greatness of the scientists that have advanced civilization since the beginning of time.
Hey, bro. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, yes, sir. So, oh man, I think we should go ahead and get right into it because the brother definitely will put some information in there. All right, let's go. Let me go back. Let me go. Brother,
You're giving them all the
all right.
juice.
Yeah. All right. Can you see it, brother man?
So good. I see it. I view it clearly. Ifa
Yes,
odara
sir.
emi odara moju kanjo mama jangere bo. Ifa moniko beruke boving. Ifa moniko beruke bada. Ashe. Oh. Family, it says Ifa odara emi odara, the Lukumi experience of Moorish ancestry in the Americas, and we're gonna be beginning. This is a great build. So let's move on to the next slide. So, family, we're gonna begin by letting us having a brief introduction to what is IFA, family. IFA is the way that life unfolds. IFA is the explanation of light to the world. Ifa is a oral heritage of existence and humanity. This oral heritage is recognized by the UNESCO. If brothers and sisters know what the UNESCO is, and if you don't, after this build, go check up UNESCO. It is a United Nations educational format where they've recognized IFA as a tangible as a tangible byproduct of humanity. Ifa is divine knowledge. Ifa is mystical knowledge. It is the unfoldment of creation. Ifa is fractal evolution of consciousness through binary information systems, which are to perform calculations, process data, and execute instructions. Ifa is also known as the voice of El. When we say El, we mean Olodumare. Ifa allows us to deeply internalize inward knowing or a recognition of the divine through personal experience or having a better relationship with the divine, meaning acquaintance with divinity itself. Share?
Mm. Mm.
We can move to the next.
Yes, sir.
So we have it understood in the Moore Science Temple of America. We have an explanation of what creative fate is. So, what is creative fate? As it is said, but man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah. Just as the seed of any plant of earth holds deep within itself the attributes of every part of that special plant. So we need to understand spirit man as the seed of Allah held deep within himself these attributes of every part of the creator. Now seed are perfect as the source from which they come, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed must be deep planted in the soil that he might grow, unfold as does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was foreordained to be the Lord of plane of soul and of the plane of things made manifest.
Islam.
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 So we could
Wow.
see that this sacred palm tree holds the divinity of these seeds. These seeds come from the sacred palm tree known in Ifa as Okpe Ikin. So we need we go to the next slide. And the significance in Moorish culture, we see that in Islam, the palm tree symbolizes the steadfastness in faith. It also symbolizes prosperity and hospitality. For those brothers and sisters who are part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, who understand that we are practicing Islamism, it's Islam in action. We are returning to the old time religion. We are understanding what our forefathers bestowed upon us, the doctrines that came in from the shores of North and South Africa, Northwest and Southwest, the shores of these continent that reached into Al-Andalus and established that great empire for many centuries. The Quran describes Mary, the mother of Jesus, as being instructed by God to shake the palm tree to receive these fresh dates during her labor pains. We must understand that this sacred palm tree may have been explained in a different format, but nevertheless, we're talking about a sacred palm tree. This palm tree was the birth of divine justice. And as this build unfolds, we will understand what divine justice and the relationship that it has to Ifa. The palm tree's presence it's a notable aspect of Moorish rule in Spain. It became a cultural symbol, as we've seen it in various flags that this palm tree is presented there. So, it is a symbol of Islamic identity. Nevertheless, after the expulsion of the Moors from Spain, those who were forced to convert to Christianity also would place a palm tree in their garden. You know, that's when there was the conversos and there were the moriscos, and they were trying to hide their identity. There were signs and symbols for the conscious mind who would be aware to identify those who still maintain to the customs and their loyalty to their forefathers. So in Al-Andalus, we could see that the first Umayyad Emir of Cordoba, Abd al-Rahman, when he returned from exile, he planted his palm. And there's a famous story about this. In the poem, he wrote about the tree and how it reflects nourishment, resilience. He found in establishing a new life away from home. As we see this palm tree, go to the next slide. The palm tree was also used in biblical passages. This same sacred palm tree is known to be used for the construction and the decoration of sacred places. You see, true believers, which in Islam they're known as Hanifa, a Hanif. A Hanifa is a true believer in Islam. In Ifa, we know him as Onifa. Well, true believers understood that the holy seed itself can also refer to faithful believers, the righteous community within Israel. This is known. Many people have this concept of Israel, which genuinely speaking, this whole concept of Israel and Yashar Allah, it's all an etymological evolution of what the initial word is known as Oya Sheri Allah. Oya Sheri Allah is those descendants that came from Ife, which is what they know as Judah, which is in West Africa. These concepts and these migratory patterns have led us to understand from East Africa into West Africa the relationship that Oya Sheri Allah has with this so-called Israelite family. So we can see that in biblical passage, in 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 23 and John 1 chapter 1 verse 12 to 13, it is speaking about this seed, and this seed is used to signify believers who have been born again through the Spirit, and it's specifically giving a reference to these seeds. The seed of Christ, for example, this consciousness, this divinity. In Galatians chapter 3 verse 16, Paul discusses that the seed in a singular, referring to Christ, the singularity offspring of Abraham. We're speaking about this sacred seed. So also in Luke 8 verse 11 is part of the parable of the sower, where Jesus explains that the seed is the word of God. In this teaching, the seed symbolizes the message of God's kingdom, which is given to people to hear and respond to, with the outcome depending on the receptiveness of their hearts. Islam. So, if brothers have any questions throughout this, we can we can jump in. Just want to throw it into the air. You know, if there's any questions, want me to expand on anything, we more than can. So if you want to go to the next slide. So in ancient Egypt, we also understand that the leopard, Ifa, and the oracle of Ifa or Rumila, it is known that Ifa is also represented by Ekun. Ekun is known as the leopard. And in ancient Egypt, the high priests, we would see them wearing the leopard skin. This symbolic act was only reserved for high-ranking individuals. As you can see right there, that is an Araba. That is one of the representatives who walk around and they protect the Oni of Ife. Only those with high rank are allowed to wear that leopard skin. So these were minor references that I wanted to elaborate on before we enter into exactly how Ifa takes place in existence and in creation. So let's go to the next slide. So what is Ifa? When we see Ifa, we need to understand that everything on this planet has an evolutionary process, even from the embryo and its development stages. We have this fractal sequence that takes place. That we see these same fractals within everything in nature. Let's go to the next slide. So, as we can see, in the first phase of embryonic development, we have what is known as a zygote. The process begins with a single cell, the zygote formed by the fusion of sperm and egg. We have cleavage. The zygote undergoes rapid, repeated, meiotic divisions called cleavage. These divisions create multiple smaller cells called blastomeres, but they do not increase the overall size of the embryo. We also have blastomere. This, we're talking about a cellular evolution from 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. That constant evolution takes place. So in these 5 embryonic stages, we have also compaction. If we go to the next slide, we have compaction, and at approximately 8 cell stage, the blastomere begins to flatten and it forms tighter cell-to-cell connections. This process is known as compaction. Now, interestingly enough, when we get to this 5th stage of the embryonic development, we have something known as morula. Orumila is the divinity that is represented by prophecy. He is our prophet in the celestial realms. Morula happens to be when the embryo becomes a solid ball of cells resembling a mulberry. Now, interestingly enough, this mulberry in Latin is known as morus, like Horus, morus, orus. And this is when it's to 16 to 32 blastomeres. That's when it's known as a morula. As we will see, you'll see the relationship with the number 16 and orumila, oru, orus, as this unfolds. On next slide. So we got to see what is IFA in biology. When we're talking about self-organizing systems, researchers have observed that the emergence of fractal geometries in biological processes, such as the evolution of metabolic enzymes, in this context, simple biochemical interactions, meaning binary choices of reactionary pathways, are repeated over time, giving rise to complex fractal-like protein structures. This is all that same fractal evolutionary process of IFA. In evolutionary trees, we see that the branching of evolutionary trees, particularly the process of speciation, has been described as fractal evolutionary trees. The splitting of one species into two, meaning binary. The division repeats over vast timescales, creating a self-similar fractal branching pattern of life on Earth. So now we have understood clear right here that IFA is part of the embryonic 5 stages of embryonic development. We have clearly seen that IFA and this fractal sequencing is the coding of biology itself. Let's go to the next slide. So, what is IFA in astrophysics? In astrophysics, fractal star clusters, dynamic evolution, and changing binary fractions. We're talking about stellar groups that initially form in a fractal, not uniform. We're talking in a fractal distribution. They have high degrees of substructure and higher fraction of binary star systems compared to denser clusters. As these fractal clusters evolve, gravitational interactions cause them to lose their substructure and become more dynamically relaxed, leading to a loss of binary star systems. Changing binary fraction. Studies have observed a decrease in the binary star fraction as these clusters age, with lower density fractal clusters showing the highest initial binary fractions, which then decrease over time. Next slide. So, what is IFA in theoretical physics? The fractal universe hypothesis. In theoretical physics, some models propose that the evolution of the universe itself is fundamentally fractal in nature. This concept suggests that complex fractal structures emerge from binary processes at critical points and that vacuum fluctuations have a fractal topology. Let's move forward. So, we're seeing that in astrophysics and in theoretical physics, we're analyzing that there's this fractal binary process that's taking place. So, what is the computational universe? The computational universe hypothesis suggests that fundamental building blocks of the universe, such as subatomic particles and the laws of physics, can be seen as data or information that is processed by a system, similar to how a computer processes data according to a set of instructions. The computational universe is not an alternative to the physical universe. The universe that evolves by processing information and the universe that evolves by the laws of physics are one and the same. The two descriptions, computational and physical, are complementary ways of capturing the same phenomena. This was written by Seth Lloyd, who's an astrophysicist. And we will see how all of this will come in full circle. So, next slide. What is binary computation? So, we're gonna have some verses here, some Quranic verses, so we could have a more clear and concise direction of where we're heading. So, this binary computation and this evolution that we're seeing in the computational universe and in theoretical physics, it is stated in the Quran, ayat 54, surah 49. It says, "Verily, we have created all things with qadar, divine preordainments of all things before their creation, as written in the book of decrees." Also, the prophet said, "Verily, the first of what Allah created was the pen." So he said, "Write. What shall I write?" He said, "Write al-qadar, what it is and what shall be until the end." In other words, everything is preordained. Everything from the beginning to the end is clearly understood. No calamity or blessing occurs on earth or in yourselves without being written in a record before we bring it into being. As stated in the Quran, ayat 57, surah 22. Everything is fully computed by us in a manifest book of record. Quran, surah 36, ayat number 12. Now we're going to go into some biblical passages of the Bible, the King James, so we could also understand. Next slide. So Dawood asked for this ephod so that he could access heaven and learn from a priest how to do so. This is biblically speaking. So according to the book of Samuel, Saul would ask a priest for the ephod when he wanted to question El using oracular methods. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 also describes Christians as a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, who are called to declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into this wonderful light. This verse highlights the identity and purpose of believers who are set apart for God and empowered to share his goodness and glory with the world. David said unto Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me the ephod. And Abiathar brought him the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him. He said, pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So we need to understand that not only in the Quran, there's there's a notion of this divine record that has been able to be kept for those who have been set apart, for the royal priesthood, for those chosen, only for those who have been chosen. So let's go to the next slide. So in Islam, we have this concept that is known as marifa. There it goes
Ah,
again, the term ifa. So in Sufism, marifa is experiential knowledge, meaning gnosis. This is the mystical understanding of Allah or the divine realities. It has been described as an immediate recognition and understanding of the true nature of things as they are. Modify encompasses a deep understanding of the ultimate truth, which is essentially Allah, and extends to the comprehension of all things in their connection to Allah. So, and it has stated in the Quran, and we have computed everything in a record. This record is the same binary structures that you're seeing written on this sand. That record is that binary composition. The Quran also describes in Surah 78, Ayat 29, that the Quran describes the universe as being precisely calculated in a pre-eternal record known as the preserved tablet, the Law al-Mahfuz. Let's go to the next slide. So, and everything that was or is to be, we recorded, calculated, computed it. So we established it in the mother book. Want to let it be known, Odu is the womb of creation. It is the mother. We'll get to that soon. And it is clear, Imam. And it is said clear because it reveals the reality of all that is settled in it. This is written by Al-Tabari, Jami al-Bayan, 3612. And we have computed everything in the record. That is in the Quran. That is Surah 78, Ayat 29. Not even a leaf falls without his knowledge, nor a grain in the darkness of the earth or anything, green or dry. But it is written in a perfect record. Quran, Surah 6, Ayah 59. Nothing is hidden from your Lord, even the weight of an atom on the earth or in the heaven. Neither anything small than that nor larger, but it is written in a clear record. Quran, Ayat 10, Surah 61. And he encompasses all that is with them, and he computes the number of everything. Quran, Ayat 72, Surah 28. And those who were bestowed al-ilm, the knowledge, and faith said, surely indeed you stayed, as in written, kitabullah, until the day of resurrection. Quran, Surah 30, Ayat 56. Let's go to the next slide. So, now that we see clear what we have before us, we go to chapter 1, creation and fall of man. We have to see that creative fate gave to man, to spirit man, a soul, that he might function on the plane of soul, gave him a body of the flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. That record has been kept from the heavens to the earth. So why did creative fate give to spirit man a soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to soul a body of the flesh that he might function on the plane of the things that are made manifest? All of this is divinity. Divinity is within. We have the ability to access this divine record because we are made in the image and likeness, and Allah lives within men. You understand? This is not the doctrine of the Arabs in the East. Allah lives within men. We have that understood as Moorish Americans. So let's go on to the next slide so we can understand this creative fate and why creative fate was given to us the way it was. And we're going to start. So, who is Olofin? When we have the word Olo, it's owner, possession of. Ofin means perfect, perfection. Ofin also means law. We have a term called Alafin, which means the owner of the palace or the perfect court. Afin means palace or court. Olofin means perfect ruler. He who kept the law or enforced such. Fin is known as, in Spanish, is perfect, concluded, and closed. The word fin is used in various languages to mean the same. Now, I want to put this here into context. When we have this word Olofin and Alafin, we're also understanding that he who possesses this palace or court, he who is the owner and who keeps this law, this perfect law, and enforces this perfect law, it is what we could know as a caliph, as a khalifa, an khalifa, alifa, olofin, alafin, where the, we're not far. The etymological evolution and the processes that came about for these words to change have been thousands of years. You know, this we're talking about a record that's been thousands of years. This is a pre-Hebrew, pre-Aramaic. We're talking about from the beginning. So let's go to the next slide. Now, since we're talking about this etymological value, we have to see the etymology of Olofin itself. We know that etymology is the study of the origin and history of words, the study of words' origins. Next slide. So, when we have the etymology of the word of this Olofin, Alafin, Alifa, we have to understand that we have the first word in the Hebrew alphabet, in the Aleph-bet, which is known as Aleph. In Hebrew, the letter Aleph is comprised of an upper yod and a lower yod. This represents the divine, the ineffable aspects of the creator or the heavenly realm, with the lower yod representing signifying the manifestation in the world. So when we have this, we need to understand that is representing the hidden, that space from above to below, that hidden divinity within, that infinite aspect of what they know as the Yahed Vahed, Ein Sof, without end. Whereas the lower yod is going to represent the revelation of Yahed Vahed to mankind, the Vav or Vara, whose meaning is the hook, shows a connectedness between both of these realms, the ancestral or the heavenly realms and the physical realm. This Vav is also thought to represent humanity, since Adamu was created on the sixth day. Vav is six. Now, if you may see why I said Obara, Vav, because in on the Merindilogun system within Ifa, six is represented by Obara. Obara is this continuation of this word Vav. So Vav is diagonal since it's humbled in the face of God's mystery and his revelation. So when we see the holy Odu Obara in the Merindilogun, it is represented as six. But when we take it into the binary composition, it is known as the seventh Odu. When we write down Obara, I wish I had a pen with me. If we write down the Odu Obara on a paper, we will see that you have 2 feet, you have your knees, and you got your palms. These are represented by 2 lines, 2 lines, 2 lines, and your head going onto the ground. That same process that we do when we prostrate is written in binary code as the seal, as the number 7 itself, which we'll get into that down the line.
Islam.
So
Mm.
the basic gematria for the Aleph is the 1, indicating the one and only God who is the master of the universe. Note, however, that the gematria for the parts, matter of fact, let me write this down just so you brothers can see it. We're talking what I was just explaining about the Obara. Let me see. I don't know if you brothers can see it.
Yeah.
See that binary code? Imagine the bottom part. Hold on, let me do it right here. The bottom is the feet. The middle is the knees. The top is the hands and the head submitting down to the ground.
Mm.
That's representing the king of resurrection. But we'll get to that shortly. So in basic gematria, Aleph is indicating the one and only God who is the master of the universe. However, that the gematria for the parts of the letter Aleph add up to 26. Yad He Vav He. So this Yod Yod Vav is also known in Ifa as Odu Odu Wa. Yad Yad Vav
Mm.
Yod Od Av. Odu Odu Wa. Od
Mm.
Vav Odu Odu Wa. This is the, like we're talking about, this evolution of these words. So with the same number and as the sacred name Yahweh Vahe is indicating a link between the Aleph and the El himself. So this is demonstrated in Exodus, for example, where the Lord reveals his name to Moses as Eye Asher Eye. I am that I am. Iye Asher Iye. Asher was used to create Edah. Edah as in Adam. Edah is creation. Asher was used to create Adam. Adamu. So Aleph means one who is tamed or familiar. It derives from the Aleph, therefore, that's saying that this elder being tamed and familiar with Ifa, familiar with divinity. As we saw before, Ifa, Marifa, we're talking about that relationship with divine, that mystical knowledge of knowing that the Creator and ourselves are one. Once a man has reached to that pinnacle of being known as an Alafin, as an Olofin, he is the owner of the law. He knows the law. He upholds the law. He's familiar. He's tamed. He's no longer living within his lower self. He is living within the aspects of his higher self. He's tamed that lower self. So, next slide. The verb alifa comes from to be acquainted with, which lets us know that relationship that we have with our higher self. So, being acquainted on intimate terms with the Creator is when someone is alifa. So, in modern Hebrew, we have this term Aleph, which is from the Aleph Lamed Pe. It gives us Olaf, Olaf like Olofin, as in Alafin, Olofin. You see how when we break it down, the Hebrew language, it gives us a closer context to this ancient language that was spoken by the Yoruba. So this passive participle of the verb lalif, meaning trained, it's referring to wild animals. Now we know that the lower self, it breeds hatred, jealousy, slander, murder, theft, and all the things that harm. That is a very animalistic state. So once a person has received the Aleph, the Olaf, he has tamed that aspect. Now, interestingly enough, that these letters are believed to have derived from the Egyptian hieroglyph depicting a bull's head, like the bull or the ox. So the on, when we're talking about the olofin, alafun, alafin, it appears to mean somebody who has experienced a lot. So now we have the aleph and we got on. So it's not like I'm just connecting olofin, alafin without the in or the un, because the on means a person who has experienced a lot, to be subject to much. You get me? So it's like we could just say, oh, Aleph has its aspect of being tamed or being acquainted with in intimate terms with divinity. But the own lets us know that this experience, this individual who has gone through subject to much, he has this relationship to rest and enjoy life of plenty. It's that own. It describes a surplus, a vigor of wealth, and specifically in reproductive powers. Olofin is a divinity that when brothers are trying to get initiated into the sacred grove, Olofin has to be present inside that sacred grove. This is, like I said, in the experience and the relationships of the Lukumi, how we're taught. So when we have Alafin, Olofin, we have the Aleph, which is the one. We're going to go back into that 1 to 16 that I was speaking about before. When we speak about the 16th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, we have the Ayin, like the Alafin, Olofin, Ayin. So not only do we have Alephon, Alafin with the Aleph on, Ayin itself. So I'm bringing this in multiple directions because when we have Afin, Orphin, Orphin could go on to the on, Ayin could represent it is representing by the 16th. So this it it sees but it does not speak. When we're talking about the sacred odus of Ifa, Ogbe and Ofun, we have Ogbe Yekumi Woriodi, Iroso o warni o bara o kana, o gunda o sa, ika o trupon, o tura irete o she o fun. O fun is the 16th. It's the last womb of creation. Meaning, if we were going to say Alpha and Omega, for example, we have the Aleph and we have the Ayin. This Ayin represents this humility. This in the Aleph bet. So interesting. The Ayin, as stated, it has a Vav contained in the Nun. The Nun represents humility, and the Nun will expand on that later too, where you'll see how this comes full circle. The Nun represents the humility. The Vav signifies the Torah, which descends from heaven to earth in its inherent design of a hook. The Vav also is the gematria of 6, represents the 6 orders of the Mishnah, the oral law, and all individuals who's unassuming, who has humility of the Nun. Nun could be known as the sacred waters. So, next slide. So, what does this 1 to 16 represent? We have a picture here of 8-bit and 16-bit. I want you to analyze how this 8-bit, you see these color structures, right?
Primary
And
colors.
16-bit, you see how it merges together from these solid lines into more equilibrium and more transparency to merge together. I want you to keep that in mind when we're going through this, how everything is gonna gradually merge together and be very transparent. So in Odu Ifa, we have 16 wombs, 16 sacred realities or manifestations from the womb of creation itself. The Aleph being the first, the Ayin being the 16th. Alephine, Olofin, Alafin. This is a more plausible representation of what is known as the golden calf or the bull that was being worshipped by the people of Oya Sheri Allah. That could be seen in Exodus 32. You know, I've came to this realization because when we sit here and just think that there's this golden bull, you understand what I'm saying? That is just this artifact that was just created to be worshipped. There's a how could I say this? It's very allegorical expression. You know, when the Israelites didn't see Moses and they decided amongst themselves who was gonna be the one to lead them. They decided on a laughing. They decided on someone who was representative as a bull, who was an Aleph, who was Ayin amongst themselves. And they placed an individual as the Alafin. This is why when we see these words is representing as this bull, as this ox. And you have to understand the value of these Hebrew letters to understand exactly what's being explained in Exodus 32. Because if you don't know the value of these letters, it's easily misrepresented when it gets brought into a 1611 King James Bible. Next slide. So, who is the owner of the heavens? We have the owner of the heavens is the word Olorun. Olorun. Olo is all the Yoruba language. We'll see that it's compound language, meaning these words are compound. All these words that you'll see they get broken down the same way how in Hebrew these letters get broken down. So Olorun is the owner of the source, the originator, coordinator of the ethereal bodies. It's Enitionurun, which is the owner of the heavens, the ultimate universal conservatory of destiny, light, and sound that is replicated and manifested in all animate and inanimate objects. The owner of destiny, the source of light, and the originator of sound. That is Olorun. In other traditions, they know it as Eliun, the Most High, Olorun, Eliun. We have this word or that's in Olorun. Or in Hebrew means light. Or also means light. And I don't recall where I got this other the on for the pillar abode of sun, but that itself is another representation of what this sun, this celestial light that is the coordinator of these ethereal bodies, known as Olorun. Olorun is another word for the sun. So next slide. So what is the first phase of creation? This is where we're going to get into the 5 phases of creation, so we can understand how Ifa and this fractal evolution and its representation, how our forefathers had this scientific expression mapped out to the T. You understand what I'm saying? Like there anyone who tries to denigrate the West African cultures, as we've seen within the past decades, there's been a lot of revelations as far as the Dogons, how they track the stars, and there's been a lot of revelations, and so therefore we're gonna go into this so you can understand that our forefathers were scientists. They understood the celestial bodies. So the first phase of creation is known as Akamara. Akamara itself is the universal spirit. This universal spirit breathed forth and formed a grain of sand. This sand of gas and dust is what we know in the celestial realms as cosmic dust. This is made up of various elements: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, silicon, iron, and other elements that are the building blocks of stars, planets, and life itself. See, when a cloud of gas and dust unite, it is known as what is known as a protoplanetary disk. Mom, can you get me the Opon Ifa? Tablero, tráeme el tablero. So this protoplanetary disk, bring me the one that doesn't have none of the sand on it. So this protoplanetary disk is what is known as this cosmic dust that gets formed. So it forms around a young star, and those dust particles within it start to collide and they stick together. That is the marking of Odu. When we write on the divining tray, which is known as Oponifa, when we're writing down those binary codes, that is that cosmic dust building, those dust particles, they start to collide and they stick together and they mark. Those collisions gradually they build up larger objects. That is known in Osao Gunda, Osakuleya. This is what we can see as a protoplanetary disk. This right here is what our forefathers knew as a protoplanetary disk. The cosmic dust gets placed on this, and we write binary codes on this. That specific process is known in the Odobifa Osakuleya or Saogunda. So these tiny grains, they form planetesimals, and they eventually form protoplanets. This process is known as crossing lands. So these dust particles, they clump up together, and due to the electrostatic forces and interactions, they form larger realities, larger bodies. The electrostatic forces, as this tablet opens up and we that electrostatic that we're causing through the vibration of our voice, the cosmic dust in that protoplanetary disk, the binary codes, and the word that we're manifesting, that brings gravitational attraction. That becomes realities, planets. From the word itself, that process of dafab, the electrostatic forces, when we get these sacred seeds and we place them in our palms and we divine, and those seeds are crashing, those seeds together are causing electrostatic force and gravitational attraction. And that cosmic dust is inside there. So we're talking, and that dust is prepared in a specific form of with elements and molecules. So that cosmic dust contains water, ice, organic compounds, spirit. You get me? So all matter and energy were concentrated in a singularity, which then rapidly expanded. towards humanity. We're talking about the first phase of creation, family, cosmic dust, known as Akamara. Next slide. So, what is the
What
second phase of creation? In Ifa, we know the second phase of creation is known as Origun. Origun is the coordinator of creation within the vast expanse of the universe. This rapid expansion caused cosmic inflation. During this phase of the universe, expanding exponentially, stretching out space itself, as we can see in that picture. So during this process, there's accumulation of cosmic dust and other particles inside that protoplanetary disk, which over time, these particles collide and stick together. They grow larger, forming planetesimals. These planetesimals continue to collide, merge, and they grow protoplanet or planets. So next slide. So the third phase of creation. So just so we can have it clear, we have this cosmic dust forming together inside this void, sticking together these elements that are needed to unite the iron, the everything that's inside, all of these elements. So when we have this ball of cosmic dust and this fire, because when we have the this cosmic dust and that expansion, that cosmic inflation, we're talking about a ball of fire. We're talking about conscious, the primal consciousness as Origun. In order for this primal consciousness to be able to go through a process of differentiation, we have a divinity known as Oluwaye. Oluwaye is responsible for soothing and pacifying the hotness of the universe into that phase of differentiation. That's when a planet develops distinct layers with different compositions. So as the planet grows, it accumulates more material. It undergoes intense heating due to the gravitational compression and the decay of radioactive elements. This causes the planet to partially melt, allowing heavier elements to sink towards the core, while lighter material rise to the surface. This differentiation creates layers such as the core, the mantle, and the crust. As the universe continued to expand and cool, elementary particles formed, including protons, neutrons, electrons. These particles eventually combine to form the first atom, which is known as Omi, hydrogen, and helium. Next slide. So the fourth phase of creation is Baba Shemoegun. Baba Shemoegun is responsible for assigning roles and orders to the vast expanse of the universe in order to avoid what is known as the War of the Shining Ones. It is the crashing of planetary bodies. There had to be some order and some structure in order for this development of these universal principles to take place. So it is said in Ifa, the stubborn rock and the stubborn root. It is the stubbornness of the root that enabled it to live in the midst of the rock. The message for the twinkling stars who are the warriors of heaven. May we not be victims of war. The twinkling stars, there is no war in heaven. I said. This process is known as prograde motion. It is the result of the initial angular momentum of this protoplanetary disk from which the planets form. During the formation of the solar system, this swirling disk of gas and dust surrounds a young star. This young star, we know it as Irawo. So we got to understand that our forefathers were identifying these phases of creations. They knew it. They were giving it a name and all. So as this disk collapses and flattens, it begins to rotate. The material of the disk gradually comes about and it forms planet. That protoplanetary disk rotates in a particular direction, counterclockwise to be precise. The planets that form from it also tend to orbit the sun in the same direction. In our solar system, this is counterclockwise motion. Next, so there's a hieroglyph known as the Shining Ones. I didn't get to find the picture. It's known as the 16 Mehi or 16 Meji in the Egyptian hieroglyphs. If you have a chance, you can look at it. It's the Shining Ones. So next, so the fifth phase of creation is known as Ayin. We're talking about that 5, family. Those 5 points. Those 5 points has this love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice has to do with these 5 phases of creation. You get me? So when we have the 5th phase of creation is Ayin. The solar system, which is known is specifically planet Earth, was handed over to what is known as a female Irumole. In her loneliness and without companion, she was told that another being, which would be greater than her, and the 801 Irumale, who was assigned to take care of the solar system, will soon appear. She consulted Farakun Soso Owu, which told her to place her palm on the ground, in which it formed an Odu, a binary code. She complied with what was advised to offer, and on the 303rd day, an almighty being emerged from the pot, which emanated a rainbow. For 303 days. I leave you brothers that key. Check Kepler 47c when you have a chance. You'll see something very interesting there. This is where what we know as Oduduwa, Olofin, or Tete, comes into motion as responsible for steering the boat of existence to Ile Aye. This steering the boat of existence is also seen in ancient Egyptian practices. So steering this boat of existence to Ile Aye, when he was going to collect the Igba Awa. Igba Awa is the Igba of destiny, the god of destiny. Olofin Otete created the land of Ife, which is the land of expansion, peace, and love for habitation. Next slide. So these, for those brothers who are aware of Ifa, if you want to study this in more depth, we have 3 Odus of Ifa that specify all of this, these 5 phases of creation. So this is my references. You know, I ain't really put references here, but the references are the sacred scriptures. And Osaogunda, and Oyamilobe, and Odi Urosun. We have it explained thoroughly. So both Ayin and Farakun, Sosowu, they bowed their heads in supplication for this being, Olodumare, Eledumare. Divination was made for Olodumare. He placed his hand, palm down on the ground, and the Odu was revealed. Farakun Sosowu explained that in the whole solar system, no being with command as much power. In the forest, the energy, authority, and influence as Eledumare, and that he would have no child, will bear no child, will not sleep, will not doze off for a moment. This Odu was revealed where the declarations of Ifatu, Olodumare Agotu, he who spreads the mat of honor over the sea. In the dawn of time, and he was advised to offer sacrifice. The heavens weeps, human beings mistaken it's for rainfall. It is the issue of childlessness that the heavens are crying over. That's part of the verse that is said in the Odu. Next slide. So now we're talking about this cosmic dust, right? And these 5 phases of creation. What does this precisely, this basket that we've seen in all of these ancient cultures, in Ecuador, in Mesopotamia, we've seen it in Egypt, we've seen it in Nigeria precisely, in a lot of the Nok civilization, bronze sculptures. This bag that we see, it represents he who possesses the knowledge of creation, possesses the knowledge of these 5 phases of creation. That grain of sand, that sand was held inside that bag. That grain of sand was metamorphosed into a basket full of sand. A basket full of sand was used to create earth. Let the dew burst quickly. That was the command used to create the universe. It was also used to create the lands, so that the cluster of goodness, that cosmic dust, that protoplanetary disk, and well-being should gather henceforth all goodness and well-being in harmony. That's what that bag represents, family. That's Akko Ifa. That bag is where all the tools that are needed for creation are held. Next slide.
That's long.
No, I got. Who is Olodumare? Olodumare, Eledumare, the owner, Olo, the womb, Odu, which is the pot, Ikoko, that brings forth the rainbow serpent, Oshumare. Olodu Ikoko Tintan Oshumare, the owner of the womb, which is the pot that brings forth the rainbow serpent. Olodu, owner, deity, possess, Odu, womb, El, Hebrew God. As we can see here, this Oshumare, Olodumare is he who possesses that life for that everlasting life force. I didn't add it here, but Olodumare is also known as he who possesses that everlasting life force. But like I said, a lot of these Yoruba words, they're compound words. So they get expressed according to your degree of understanding into the wisdom of these sciences. So next slide. So now that we went through these 5 phases of creation, we understand Olodumare is he who possesses this womb of creation, where this rainbow serpent comes out of. We have to also see that there was a pact, if I'm not mistaken, in the Bible that it speaks with the heavens and earth, where it represents this rainbow as well. I'm not too fond of it, but I've heard this before. So there was 3 attempts to terraform what we know this planet. So now that we've gone through those 5 phases of creation, now we're talking about terraforming this planet. The first time wood and iron were brought by a divinity, a force known as Ogun. He was given the name Baba Jegi Jegi because when he came to earth, his only sustenance was wood. He could not live off of wood. When they brought wood into this planet, it was not enough. He had to go back to Orun, and they had to keep this process. In the second time, we had Baba Mumi Mumi, was the name that was given to Allah. He is the one who brought forth the water. What is known as Baba Mumi Mumi, he is the one who his sustenance was only water. Now, a lot of brothers may have a better understanding than me on this subject specifically, but Allah in pre-Islamic culture has also been known to bring forth water. And I find it interesting that there's this term mumi mumi, which in Islam they have a term called mu'minin, which sounds very, very similar to this term. Baba mumi mumi brought forth water. Could not survive on water. Allah had to go back. The third time, seeds for vegetation were brought by Orumila, Baba Jeun Jeun. He's the one who brought sustenance to actually eat. So these 3 phases, when they brought wood, iron, water, and seeds for vegetation, were the 3 steps of terraforming this planet. Next slide. So when we're talking about this divine consciousness of Ifa or Rumila, this is the witness to creation. You know, Orumila consulted with the elders in the heavens. These elders in the heavens before his descent were known as Ileagba Dudu Orimo. These were the group of Babalaos in the heavens that he consulted prior to coming down here. The Odu that was revealed was Ejiogbe, which is the unification of consciousness. 2 parallel lines that will never unite, which is the heavens and the physical realm. I don't know if you can see it there, but we have two parallel lines. It's a binary structure of 8 singular lines representing the heavens and the earth. Those parallel lines do not unify. That was the Odu of Ifa that was revealed to Orumila as he descended. So all life forms were created by the 6th day. On the 6th day, on the 7th day, everything was already done. That's where we have this process of our holy day. That's why all holy day meetings are held on Friday sunset. That is the holy day. That phases of where everything was created, I put that there, but I can't expand on that because it's part of the initiation as a high priest. It's a 7-day ritual. On the 7th day, when you rest, there's a whole process that takes place inside the sacred growth. Next slide. So now that we have this process of the 5 phases of creation, we have the earth being terraformed, that collective consciousness from the heavens descending down to earth to establish this process of creation. We're going to go into this inner essence of humanity. So, who is responsible for the inner essence? We know it as Ajala. Ajala. It is the one who gave us Ori Inu. In the Holy Odu Ogbe Ogunda, that is explained to us. Ogbe Yonu. So, who is known as the architect of destiny? Ajala Moping. When the 16 Meji were coming from Aye to Orum, they all went to Ajala Mopin to choose their destiny. That's in the Holy Odu of Bar Meji. We have Oriseku, son of Ogun, Orileme, son of Ija, and Funwape, son of Orumila. These three were advised that they should respect the prohibitions which was on their way. They should not look to the right nor to the left. They should just go straight. That's Sirat al-Mustaqim. Go straight. Don't look this way. Don't look that way. Stay on the right path to the house of Adyala. Adyala is where we have Iyamon Iwakpele, Iwakpele ni Yamon, meaning destiny is good character is destiny. Next slide. So, Ajala is the divine potter of destiny. Ajala presides over the metaphysical dimension of Ori, the personal destiny and spiritual consciousness of each individual. Ajala is referred to divine potter, the artisan responsible for creating the Ori, the spiritual head of soul essence that each person selects prior to their incarnation in the physical world. Ajala's role is the creation of Ori. Before a soul incarnates on earth, the soul travels to the spiritual marketplace of Ajala's pottery house, Ile Ajala, where it chooses on Ori. These spiritual Ori or heads are not literal, but they're symbolic of a person's destiny, their inclinations, their struggles, their blessings in life. Ajala is the craftsman of these Ori. His pottery varies in quality. Some heads are perfectly, symmetrically strong, others may be flawed, cracked, or weak. Next slide. What is Ori Akpere? Ori Akpere, Ori Akpere. Ori Akpere is the pinnacle of spiritual evolution, representing the ultimate stage of spiritual maturity, personal perfection, and the fulfillment of one's destiny. It is the highest expression of an individual's purpose, character, and abilities in achieving, and it means aligning completely with one's spiritual essence to transcend limitations. So what is it that Ori Akpere receives at Ajala Mopin? Ajala, we go to the next slide. Ajala Mopin, the first three things are represented by Ajala and are found upon prenatal choices. These prenatal choices that we have is Akun Leyan, Akun Legba, and Ayamo. The sole purpose, the opportunities, the fixed destiny. And the next four things that the soul, that the Ori receives, the consciousness, is represented by the gatekeeper of the heavens, which is Onibode. That's when we receive Adamo Akosile, Ipini Jon, and Iponri, which is that which is fixed at birth, our soul contracts, our drive, and the path that's walked on earth. Next slide. So now that we have these 5 phases of creation, we have this terraforming, we have this collective consciousness that descended onto earth, and we have this essence that we receive in the heavens of our soul. Remember, we're talking about why creative fate. Remember, just to bring this full circle, we're speaking precisely on why is it that creative fate gave man, how can I say this? Like, why creative fate gave man a soul? Why creative fate gave man this relationship with the heavens? This is all being explained through this, and let's continue. So look, like at the end of the day, this descent from this celestial realm, it's letting us know creative fate gave to man, to spirit man, a soul. So this inner essence of this Ori, of this soul, is so he may function on the plane of soul. He gave him a body of flesh. He may function on the plane of things made manifest. So this is this breakdown. So we can have an understanding that our forefathers, this creation of fallen man that the prophet gave to us, our forefathers were well inclined into the science, actually in complete alignment with these teachings. So let's go forward. So who made the first man? The first man was made by Allah. Allah in known in other cultures as Allah. When you see NLA, Allah, it means great. Obatala in other cultures was known as Enlil. Enlil is another word for Onile. Onile, Enile, Enile, the owner of earth. Eni, ownership, Ile, owner of earth. Enlil, Obatala is known as Enlil. Obatala is the heights, the goodness, the God of heaven, the creator of human bodies. He's known as Oba Igbo, the king of the forest. He who does good unto those in the forest. Oba la nile ifonga la balashe, Oba pata pata nile Iranje. He is the one owner of Iranje. He is the great God. He was the one who presided over the territory known as Ifon. He is known as Alabalashe. He is the one who has that creative force, that Ashe, to create at will. Next slide. So who is the chief of the white cloth? Allah, also known as Obatala, Obatiala, chief of the crossroads of light. Oba, kingship. Ita, Allah. Ita, the roads. Allah, the light. Obatiala is the reference to the portal between earth and the realm of the immortals. Obatala is responsible for the function of guiding divination, settling disputes, and provides a clear role model for the development of good character. Oyala osunlala. Ofikoko ala rumoba igbashe. Meaning, I become like the white cloth, protector of the white cloth. I salute you. You are the father of the sacred grove. May it be so. Any soju semu orisani masia dani bori. He makes eyes. He makes nose. It is the spirit of light that I shall serve. He creates as he chooses. It is the spirit of light that I shall serve. Next slide. So what is this white cloth that we're talking about? You know, the creator has this is a very deep science, by the way. You know, so when we're talking about this white cloth that is known as Obatala, what is this white cloth? This white cloth is the white matter in the brain, which serves as a connecting tissue to facilitate communication between different brain regions by transmitting nerve signals along what is known as myelinated axons. These nerve fibers coated in protective insulated layer of myelin. They enable rapid and efficient information transfer. In essence, white matter acts as the brain's information highway or the communication network, allowing for coordinated cognitive processes, sensory functions, and motor control. That's the white cloth, the white matter that's inside our brain. Also, the amniotic sac is filling, provides liquid that surrounds the cushions the fetus. We're talking about Orisha Allah brought Omi, Baba Mumi Mumi, he brought the water. That water that's inside that cloth that surrounds and cushions the fetus is another representation of those fluids of Omi. So it is a site of exchange of essential substances, oxygen, between the umbilical cord and the fetus. That's that white cloth, that mantle, that amniotic sac that protects the fetus as it's developing inside the womb. Next slide. So what is the attribute of Allah known as the great God? Orisha Allah is known as the great God. That's another one that we have, I think is key number 94, if I'm not mistaken, in our 101s. So the supreme being who possesses the calabash of existence, which is Ibaywa, Alagbawi, the mediator, he who approves human destiny and petitions Olodumare, the conservatory of the universal energies, to bless our existence. So to have this clear, we have Olodumare as a conservatory of destiny, light, and sound in the vast of the universe. This is a name given to that fountain. But it was Orisha Allah, the great God, who was assigned directly by El to create humanity. So the creator of all of humanity, according to the Ifa, is known as Allah, Orisha Allah, or more yet, Irumole Allah. So Allah is also, like I said, these compound words, they have various expressions. So Allah is also known as dream or vision, title or honorific, to be present or to exist. The Holy Odu Baba Ejogbe describes Obatala's role as the ambassador of Ile Aye, the earth. He who entered with a special oracle, which is known as Onishe. Onishe is no other than the authority. This oracle that they're trying to explain is power. These are forces. You understand? Like these deities, they're not gods. They're forces. They're fountains of primordial energies. So Orisha Allah came forward with Onishe, the authority. So when there was any confusion, distress in the world, it was Obatala who would use the Onishe to restore balance and harmony. Obatala is known as the ambassador of serenity. Next slide. So what is the attribute of Allah known as the great God? An attribute of Allah, the great God, known as the primal light. The primal light, that's the attribute of the great God, Allah. I respect the spirit of white light, the messenger who brings goodness to the forest, into that sacred grove, the power that overcomes death. When we say Ababa Jegbi, Asomonika Agbara, Awuwo Bieri, Oba Patapata Timba Wombeo Deiranje. We can see this picture here of this known as this Fibonacci sequence, this divine mathematics that's shown in the picture of this snail. The immortal father who eats snails, child of the ancient one, bringer of the mystery of this mystical vision, chief of all things that exist in the world, may it be so. In Ifa, we know that these Irumole, these primal beings, these primordial energies, they descended onto the high mountains. The term known for Orisha Allah, there's a term known as Nike. Nike comes from Anu and Nioke. Anu Nioke are the heavenly beings which descended from above, from Anu and Nioke. They came down from the heavens onto earth. Many want to say Anunnaki. I don't, I know Anu Nioke. I know that those heavenly beings that came from above and descended down on that mountain. That's Anu Nioke. So, next slide. More attributes of Allah. So, what is the attribute of Allah known to have molded humans? He's known as Allah Mordede. The attribute known to shape humans is Oshere, to shape the human's destiny, Oshere Magbo. The king of the white cloth, as I said, the white cloth is Obati Allah Shu'Allah. The white matter of the brain or the white cloth is responsible for transmitting signals to the brain regions, allowing communication with the brain and connecting to the nervous system. Grant me a white cloth of my own. It's what these consciousness were asking for Allah to grant them. Grant them their own white cloth so they can descend down to earth. Next slide. So, what is the attribute of Allah known to describe the power to manifest? Is Allah Balashe. Allah Balashe atatabi akun orisa so mi dieni gigi, so mi dieni ye. One who gives suggestion and also gives commands. One who is very powerful. Spirit, make me an honorable person. Spirit that makes things white. What is the attribute of Allah known as the knower of hearts? Olomunokan. Olomunokan. How did Obatala descend through a chain from Orun, from the ancestral planes to Ilaye? By transmitting genetic information through DNA. So in the Yoruba history, there's this process where they say Obatala, Ogun, Orumila, Odudua. They came down this golden chain from the heavens. That golden chain is by way of transmitting genetic information through DNA. That golden chain is DNA. That's how these celestial beings, they continue to live, continuously live through those who are ordained from the heavens, they find their way back onto earth. Next slide. So now that we've gotten through these 5 phases of creation, the terraforming of the planet, we've understood the attributes of Allah. We understand the inner, once we receive our inner essence in the heavens, created by Allah. We have to we're gonna go into, it's the next slide, the 7 creative spirits that descend with Orisha Allah. Like I said, we have the Anu Nioke, is those who descended from above down to this mountain. Anu, Ani, Enu, Onu, Oni. We're talking about owner. We're talking about lordship. These words you can see in various cultures around the world that they're used to express His divinity from the heavens. These 7 creative spirits that Allah came down with, we know them as Alanu, which is merciful, a term used to describe someone who knows and shows kindness and empathy unto humanity. Benevolence, it represents caring and a nurturing nature, someone who extends love and supports to those around them. That's Alanu. This ain't no Sumerian Anu and Lil. Nah, we talking to the core. You understand? Because I could speak for my incarnation. So you get me? As far as the Ifa system is known, we have these 7 creative spirits that descended. Alanu is the mercy, the benevolence. Also came down was Olore, the benefactor, the one who shows kindness. Olore is a term to describe someone who is generous, who is compassionate, always ready to help others. It represents a person who goes above and beyond to bring joy, support, and assistance. I want to state that when we see these 7 creative spirits that came down, I want us to understand that these creative spirits created everything that is, was, and ever more to be. We're talking about merciful. Do we have mercy? Are we benevolent? Do we extend love and support to each other? We should, because that's Allah Nu. Olore, are we showing kindness? Are we compassionate? Are we generous? Are we ready to help others? Are we bringing joy and support and assistance to those around us? Because Allah came down with these 7. So the merciful, the compassionate, that's Allah Nu, Olore. Sumbe me, help me. It is a request for assistance, a request for support. Are we requesting for assistance? Are we requesting for support? Are we trying to be of assistance or support to those around us who may need us? And if we're not, we're failing, because Allah came down with these 7 creative spirits. Magbe Miti is another one. It means do not forget me. Don't forget me. It is used to express a desire to be remembered or not to be left behind. I am supported by someone. Don't leave me unsupported. Are we forgetting our forefathers? Are we forgetting the suffering, the trials and tribulations that our forefathers who passed this genetic information unto us? And if we are forgetting who our forefathers were, we will never be where we are today without them. So we must acknowledge that. Why? Because those are the 7 creative spirits. We're talking about merciful. We're talking about compassionate. We're talking about support. We're talking about divine remembrance. Now we're going to go to Loso Toro, knowing the mystery, divine healing, the one who refreshes the world and guides the knower of these paths. Are we trying to understand the mysteries of creation, the mysteries of the divinity within ourselves? Are we trying to heal ourselves or those around us? Because if we're failing to do such and we're failing to guide our people, then we are not honoring those 7 creative spirits that Allah came down with. We're talking about, the next is Eroko, a non-verbal system of symbolic communication. The traveler, you understand, who sends these messages, non-verbal, family. Sometimes we do not have to speak. In our actions itself, we will show the divinity that's within us. So if we're merciful, compassionate, assisting, divine remembrance, knowing the mysteries, healing our families, guiding our people, guiding the nation, doing things by non-verbal communication, sending these messages to our people from our hearts and our thoughts, that we will understand La Rogbe, which is the seventh one who descended, which is the conqueror, victorious, the strength, the resilience, the ability to overcome. You understand? Next slide. So Allah descended to the physical plane with these seven created spirits, which meant the merciful and benevolent, the compassionate, bring aid and support so he may not be forgotten. He who knows the mysteries, our healer, our guide, the traveler of non-communication, of non-verbal communication, conqueror, victorious. Next slide. So these seven created spirits that came down with Allah, we have to understand that there's a difference between Irumole and Orisha. The Irumole are these primordial beings that people are confusing them for gods. These are not gods. These were the first beings given specific tasks to complete by El in order to know that Irumole are not human beings. We're talking about pure spirit, pure energy. These heavenly beings, these heavenly beings that came down to earth, these spirit or forces that are behind everything that we see. Next slide. So, hark now, let every creature hear the plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane, vibrating not so fast. And in a slower rhythm of this plane, the essences of life are manifest. The perfumes and the odors, the true sensations, and the all of love are made manifest by these seven created spirits that descended down with Allah. Islam?
Islam.
Islam.
Next slide. So
Hey,
as
you
well, we
cooking
all know
tonight,
that
G.
Irumoleh were supernatural beings from the heavens that visited earth and they made it habitable. These Irumolehs include the force of metal and creativity, which our forefathers called it Ogun, the force of creation, Obatala, Orisha and La, the force of thunder, Shango, the force of the river, Oshun, the force of children, Kori, the force of hunting, Oshosi, the force of justice, Eshu, the force of medicine, Osain, the force of disease, Obaluaye, etc. Next slide. So what is an Orisha? Orisha, N-E-T Orisha Da. The Orishas are elevated ancestors. These are the crowned ones. Those human beings who completed their destinies. They were elevated by their community and now serve as role models for all of us so that we may do the same. So don't ever allow any of these Muslims out in the East to have the audacity to speak about our Orisha, because they have their own saints that they look up to. They have their own saints that they bury, and they all go around their tombs and they still pay homage to this day. Why is it okay for them to give honor to their ascended saints, and then we have our elevated ancestors who were role models and we can't look up to them? That's just something that I wanted to add in there. So the Orisha, just like the Irumole, they're not gods. There's only one universal conservatory, Olodumare, which assigned the role of creating humanity to Orisha Allah, to Obatala. Orisha Orile, or Irumole turned Orisha. They are the ones universally and collectively known. Then we have the human Orishas, which are the legends that are known as Orisha Idile. Next slide. So now we're talking about Orisha. Let's go into this ancient Hebrew language and all of that, okay? So in Hebrew, what is the word resh? What's the head? The head is the resh. When we're talking about Orisha, we're talking about the elevated N-E-T Orisha Da, the crowned heads, the elected heads, resh, Orisha. So do you have your resh crowning? Do you have your Orisha? Nesir is the crown, the stone of help. Okay? So Orisha, Or is the light, Resh is the head. So the Orish is the light that's in the head, which has to be crowned, meaning Resh is signifying a person, a leader, a chief, or the beginning. The R sound that we have this variation is the overlook fricative, whatever that means. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what that means. In modern Hebrew, we're talking about in these traditions that rish had its variation, and I don't know what that fricative thing means. So origin, it's shaped, it evolved from a pictograph of a human head. So now, if we're talking about Or, which is the light, we're talking about Resh, which is the head. It's depicted by an actual head in early Paleo Hebrew writing. So we're talking about the head of a man, the first, the top, the beginning. Next slide. So we have another word called Rishon or Rishon. Rishon is ancestors that were born before time, beginning, eldest, first, forefather, most, former, old time. This is the Hebrew Strongs. Rishon or Risha. So what we talking about? Like what they trying to hide from us? So this is first, in place, time, or rank, or Risha, ancestors that were before time, beginning, eldest, first, former, or Rishon, first in place, time, or rank. Next slide. You can even see it. I had, look, Risha. It's right there, or Risha. Rishon comes from Risha. First, so who was Orisha? Allah? First creation, Odudua. What does Orisha Allah mean? Orisha Allah means the great God. Olodumare commissioned Obatala to mold the Eniyan, the person that I have personally chosen. That was Odudua. Odudua, Odu to Diawa, Odu, womb. To create is Da. Creates Iwa, the character, the destiny from clay. The one who created from the womb this character of destiny from clay. That's when Ifa said, Ki Orisha ya onairekun. May the Orisha fashion us for a good work of art. That's key 94. To whom do we refer at times as being the great God? Allah. Islam. So, where did this take place? Next slide. So, Ogba Edenia is the garden where these human beings were created. They were created by Alamorere. Let's go to the, hold on. Odudua became, let's go to the next slide. Oye, tráeme ahí el cargador con el cable verde. So Olodumare created Nini Binini, also known as Eni Bieni. It means the one who was created to our likeness. She was made in our image and likeness. She was personally transported into the planet to be the wife of Odudua in order to populate the earth. This is in the holy Odu Oye Kunilogbe. So let's go to the next slide. Is that my battery is dying on my phone, and this is a lot longer than I was expecting. So the first thing given to these clay beings that Olodumare gave forth, Olodumare breathed forth the breath of life into these humans. The breath of life, which is the life force and its fundamental concept referring to the divine essence given by Olodumare. Go to the next slide. So, who is Orisha Adamu? Allá atrás, mira. O aquí, no sé cuál. Mira, aquí atrás yo pienso que está. Por allá, mira, allá atrás. Give me one second. Make sure my phone don't die. Lo conectate ahí. So, we have, who is Orisha Adamu? Adamu. Like I said, we have Rosh, which is the head. Rishon. Rishon Adimu. Rishon Adamu. In ancient Hebrew is known as the ancient man. Adamu is the Arabic word known for Adam. Also, we know that when Jibril spoke to Muhammad, he let Muhammad know that Allah created man from a clot of blood. That term is damu in Swahili, is blood, is Adamu. We're talking about that blood clot. See, gracias. So we have, so the blood of man is also water. It moves through the body. When blood is shed, the man or animal becomes silent. A son from the blood of his father resembles his father. The color red, the color of blood, man and the earth. The first male, Okunrin, is known as Adama, Adamu, was formed. And we have in ancient Mesopotamian history, they got Adapa, which is the Mesopotamian figure known to refuse the gift of immortality. We can have maybe cross reference there to what Adamu is, Adama. And this is found in the library of Ashurbanipal in Assyria, 7th century BC, and in other tablets. Next slide. So we got, who is Olua? Olua, Lord or God. Olua in ancient Hebrew is the same as Eloah. Olua, Lord or God. Eloah, God or deity. So who is Eleri? Orumila is known as Eleri Ping, the witness to creation. Eleri Elroy. In the Bible, in Hebrew, Elroy is the El who sees. The witness to creation. Eleri Elroy. Same thing. What is Isin Imale? Isin Imale is the religion of light. It is known in Yoruba as hard knowledge. Islam is called Essini Mole because it was people from Mali that brought forth much of this historical scientific expression known as Essini Male, the Irumale from the heavens. Imale in Hebrew is known as oh my God. Isini Male Kaye is where we get the word Malaika. Imale Kaye, Malaika, which is the angels, the Orisha, the lights of the world, those that descended from the house of light to the earth. Imo ile. Imo, light, understanding, knowledge, ile, the house, who came from the
Also
house
the
of light,
mind.
Islam. So, next slide. Who is Ajagumale? Ajagumale is the presence at creation. It is the supporter of creativity, the example of humanity. Ajagumale was present when Olodumare created the universe. He was reinforcing the creator's power with praise. Ajagumale is seen as a force that reinforces creativity. Ajagumale acts of morning praise is seen as a symbol of humans to do the same upon waking. So when we wake up in the morning prior to the sunrise, when we give praises to our creator, it's the same as what Ajagumale used to do in the heavens. Ajagumale is known as Oluo Ode Orun. He is the grand priest in heaven. He's known as Olodumare's praise singer. Next slide, go 2 slides up. So how Ifa evolved in Earth. Ifa evolved in Earth by what is known as Olokun. It is known in the Odu of Iwori Meji. Iwori is the deep seer, which is the contraction of 2 words, like I said, compound words. Iwaori, meaning the character of consciousness, the inner essence of consciousness. It teaches that all things in the universe has some form of consciousness. The word Iwori implies association with the process of consciousness, forming its own unique identity. In psychological terms, this is called individualization. In Ifa, the concept of Iwari is associated with spiritual transformation, symbolized by the element of fire. Odu was known as Odu Olokun and became Odu Olofin. In Ifa, it gives us the story. Next slide. Who is Olokun? Olokun is the owner of the seas. It was in the depths of the ocean where information was transmuted. In Egyptian mythology, they have Nun. We have Olokun. Nun is known as the vast, chaotic, and dark primordial waters, which in Ifa we know that's Okunkun Birimu. This is what this primordial waters were called Nun. From this abyss, the creator emerged to bring order and chaos to create the world. Nun represented the boundless potential, but also the pre-created state that existed outside of the ordered world. So when these Orishas came about down, these Irumoles came down to earth to create, there was this primordial waters which they were faced, where they had to establish their creation. In Babylonian mythology, we have Tiamat. In the Yoruba, we have a similar name. So the Enuma Elisha pick begins with the mingling of two primordial bodies, Apsu, fresh water, and Tiamat, salt water. Interesting enough, we have a force of creation known as Yemaya, Tiamat, Yemaya. Tiamat is the personification of the turbulent, chaotic sea. This creation process from her, but she must first be defeated by the younger god Marduk, Sumerian Babylonian mythology. Genesis. The first verse of the Bible describes the uncreated states as formless and void with darkness over the face of the deep. In this account, the deep is chaotic body of water. God imposes order on the chaos by separating the waters and creating the firmament. That's what we're talking about, Ejogbe. Those two parallel lines that never unified, the celestial realm and the physical realm. The firmament was what was made to bring that separation. Next slide. So we have the primal waters. Now we can go to the next slide. All right, so we have the first life forms. The first life forms were anaerobic, meaning they did not require oxygen to survive. These earliest life forms they inhabited on the ocean floor. This is why in the ancient Ifa and Orisha tradition, you will see a lot of shells that are used for many different divinities. They're used because they represent this earliest life form. Next slide. So these early life forms, they transition to complex life. This microbial communities in the ocean floor, they established foundation for everything that's on Earth. There was an oxygenation process that was 2.3 billion years ago. They evolved to use eventually sunlight through photosynthesis. This cyanobacteria appeared billions of years ago. The oxygen was byproduct. It filled the oceans and atmospheres, and that's how complex life emerged. Next slide. So we got Olokun and Nun. The ancient Egyptians envisioned the oceanic abyss of the Nun as surrounding a bubble in which the sphere life is encapsulated, it representing the deepest mystery of their cosmogony. In ancient Egyptian creation accounts, the original mound of land comes forth from these sacred primordial waters. Next slide. So, who gave birth to these 16 divine realities, these 16 wombs of creation? Who gave birth to the 14 Odumeji? The two that were not present in this creation was Baba Eji Ogbe and Oyeye Iku. Eji Ogbe, known as Baba Ifa, it symbolizes all that is known and unknown in the universe, and it is an image of all the forces that create the day. Ogbe is the spirit of the group, or the spirit of this collective consciousness. It's represented by the water, the brains, and the nerves. Next slide. So when we have, it's interesting. I put this picture, by the way, of Aset and Asar precisely because of when Asar was killed by his brother, there was 14 missing pieces. The 14 missing pieces were these 14 Odumejis that were needed to be able to reconstruct and resurrect him from the dead. This is part of, I really can't get into too much details, but it's part of an initiatory rite that has a lot to do with Ifa. You understand? So when we have those 14 missing pieces, the two that were missing was Ejiogbe and Oyeyeiku. When they unified and they found 13, the 13 is Otura, which represents the submission, the resurrection, and a lot of profound mysteries that unfortunately I really can't get into it. So let's go to the next slide. What is Ogbe? Ejiogbe is translated to the spirit of giving, but this group collective consciousness is another word for Olodumare. We're talking about the twins. the higher self and the lower self, our ancestral mates that are in the heavens. Let's go to the next slide. So, Oye Oyeku is the dark aspects of life that it is known by the mother, the spirit of the mother of death. It's a warning of the physical death. So when we have this collective consciousness that was not present once the Tsar was killed, and we have this spirit of the mother of death that was needed in order to resurrect him, we would understand why the other 14 were present. Let's go to the next slide. So, part of the other 14, we have to go into Iwari. Iwari comes from the mystery of consciousness. Remember, the collective consciousness wasn't there no more. The spirit of death already did its job. It was out of the picture already. So, in order to resurrect him, those 14 pieces were needed. Part of those 14 is the mystery of consciousness, the constant state of change. So, whenever we make any offerings, we're making a covenant with creation. We're making commitment to change for the better. That commitment is to develop good character. That is the covenant, the good character. Iwori Meji is known as the character of consciousness. It speaks about the transformation on personal individuality. It lets us know to appreciate our divinity and our uniqueness. Next slide. So, what is OD? It's the spirit of the female reproductive organs. So, as we know, we have the spirit of this transformation of consciousness, this covenant, and we have the spirit of female reproductive organs. We're just going from the four phases of life, death, transformation, and birth. That's Ope, Dekun, Iwori, Odi. So, transformation and rebirth, transformation and birth or rebirth is these two aspects that were missing from the 14, that was part of the 14 pieces to reconstruct and resurrect them from the underworld. Odi Meji is represented as known as is the law of the conservation of matter itself, and it is part of it came to a being in the moment of creation. This holy Odu. Let's go to the next slide. I gotta put this on the charger. Hold on, I'll give this. All right. There. Hold on. Hold on. Estoy tratando de cargar esto y no sé por qué no está cogiendo. Give me a second. Conéctamelo por allá porque me hace falta, que ya casi estoy terminando. Don't even worry about it then. All right, so
Everybody, please hit the like button. If you're in the building, please hit the like button.
Barely. All right, so we got Oyigi Yigi. Oyigi Yigi is known as the totality of the material world that came into being. Oyigi Yigi is this eternal stone of the universe, the material substance from which all things are made. In the evolution process of the material substance, Oyigi Yigi becomes the universe and everything in it. In simple terms, all birth is rebirth. This is the aspect of creation that once we have life, death, transformation, and rebirth, it gives forth to what is known as this eternal stone in the universe. Next slide.
Hey, have you looking at this picture? Have you ever seen when everybody's makes pilgrimage and they're around the Kaaba praying. Have you ever seen that picture? It looks similar to that.
I was just
I'm sorry,
thinking
what
of
was
that,
that?
man.
Say it again.
Have you ever seen a
What you
picture
said?
of Have you ever seen a picture of those the Muslims when they make pilgrimage and they're all praying around the Kaaba from an aerial
That's
view? It looks.
exactly what Oyigi Yigi's representing.
Oh, this made me think about the Japanese too. You know, when they're putting the symbols in the sand.
Mm,
So this Oyigi Yigi is the term used to describe the Creator as great and mighty, the indestructible, the rock of creation. It is emphasizing on God's enduring and powerful nature, referencing to the concept of the immovable, foundational stone that represents stability and perpetuity. So let's go to the next slide. So the eternal rock of creation in the waters of being, the eternal rock of creation in the waters of Genesis, the eternal rock of creation in the waters of becoming, the mighty, immovable rock in the waters of being, the immense power in the depths of being, the mighty rock emerging from the depths of being, the great stone in the waters of being. That is a verse that is spoken about to give honors to Ojigi Jigi. Let's go to the next slide. So, what is Orun? The heavens. Spiritual realm, it is the invisible world where the deities, the ancestors, and the spirits live. It is a place of origin. Orun literally translates to the place of origin, the sky, concept tied to one's spiritual beginnings. It is also known as the dual existence, where the dual existence resides. In the Yoruba cosmology, suggests that humans have a dual existence in both the physical world and the spiritual realm, Orun. It contrasts with Aye. Orun is the opposite of what Aye is, which is the world of the living. Hold on, let me get this charger. Boy, tranquilízate, que me está dando. Okay, so. Yeah, it worked. It worked. Now we in there. All right, so Egbe Orum, which is known in Ifa, is where the heavenly society, the celestial association, which is in the heavens. This is Orun. Orun is that celestial place where our ancestors reside. I have these pictures depicting the Orion star constellation and these three pyramids in Giza. These three stars are known as Orion, which is Orun, which is the heavens. Interestingly enough, our forefathers made pyramids aligning directly to the celestial body. If we do have another chance, I could get into explanation on the Irawos and the stars. Maybe do that for the next build. Going to, next slide. So, what is a Babalao? Babalaos offer spiritual guidance to help individuals understand and work towards their spiritual destiny. They use the Odu Ifa system. They perform divination to gain insights and help individuals navigate life's challenges. Babalaos possess the knowledge of medicinal herbs and other spiritual interventions for healing purposes. They are key figures in preserving and transmitting Yoruba cultural heritage through the oral tradition of Ifa. Babalaos adhere to strict code of conduct, emphasizing honesty, integrity, compassion, and respect in their practice. Next slide. What is a Babalao? A Babalao is a Yoruba spiritual title that translates to the father of mysteries, the father of secrets, referring to a high priest in the Ifa divination system and spiritual tradition. These priests possess extensive knowledge of the 256 wombs, the mysteries or chapters of Ifa, and are trained to consult Orumila, the Orisha of divination and wisdom, through ritual implements to provide spiritual guidance, healing, and insight into the life mysteries for their community. These elders that you see inside that picture are the descendants of many slaves that reached inside to Cuba who preserved these sacred sciences. Up there we have Remigio Herrera Adeshina, Tata Gaetano Gundafun, Bernardo Rojas Tetendi, and many more. Next slide. So here we have a depiction of what is known as the leaf of Ikoide, the feather, Ikoide, which is from the Odidere, which is from the African gray. That African gray parrot is known as the smartest bird on the face of this earth. It could literally replicate anything that you teach it. As we've seen in the ancient Egyptian mysteries, we have the depiction of Anubis weighing the heart against the feather.
Mm-hmm.
This feather of justice is what all initiates into Ifa must wear when they get consecrated as priests. And upon their death, that feather is what's weighed against their heart so they could know where they will go in the seven planes of the celestial bodies. Next slide. We have this same depiction right here when we see the priests getting initiated, going into the sacred grove, wearing this feather of Ma'at, this feather of justice, meaning that they will submit to the laws of creation. They will submit themselves to divine justice and order. Next slide. Next slide, we have this bag that contains all the mysteries that are hidden to the world, but are used to preserve our sacred sciences. We know that as Apo Ifa. We can see that the prophet himself looked like he had a little bag there, but
It's called a
maybe
chic
other
bag.
brothers could expand on what that
That's
bag
called.
meant.
That's also known as. That's also known as. I'll tell you this. That's also known as a chic bag.
Okay, beautiful. I'm glad to hear about that. I wasn't aware. I know I saw it, and I'm like, signs and symbols are for the conscious mind.
Hmm.
So I viewed it and I saw that feather on that turban. He had that head covering. We already went through we went through it. And next slide. So, what is the word used to express that the spirit of consciousness resides within the heart? We know in the Yoruba that word is Okanran. Okanran. Okanran is the spirit of consciousness resides in our heart. Where's the closest place we can find Allah?
In the heart.
Heart. So the spirit of consciousness resides within the heart, which is the Quran. The Okanran. The Quran is the recital of everything that was to be, that was written and documented and computed through binary evolution and structure. That spirit of consciousness resides within the heart, or Quran. Found it very interesting how it sounds very similar. So
Right.
Okan is the heart or the soul. It is a versatile word that can refer to the organs, but also embodies deeper metaphorical concepts of emotions, the inner being, and one's essence. Okan, Ekad, in Hebrew, it means one, alone, only, first. Ekad, Okan also means one. Okan is a word not only for heart, but it means one. When we say Okan is one, Meji two, Meta three, Merin four, Marun five. So Ekad and Okan sound very alike. So let's go to the next slide. So we have this symbol in the middle, which is two squares, a square superimposed onto another square. This is known in ancient Moorish architecture. And this eight-pointed star, which is a square superimposed onto a square, lets us know a lot on sacred mathematics. So, Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except Him, the ever-living, all-sustaining, neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes Him. You heard this over here when we was reading. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. Who could possibly intercede with Him without His permission? He fully knows that what is ahead of them and what is behind them. But no one can grasp any of His knowledge except what He wills to reveal. His seat encompasses the heavens and the earth, and the preservation of both does not tire him, for he is the most high, the greatest. So this symbol that we have here, this four square, is known as the Rub el-Hizb. The eight-pointed star or octagram is created by superimposing two squares rotated at a 45-degree relative to the other. While its primary use today is to mark the division of sections in some Qurans, it has historically appeared on emblems and flags. It can be found in various forms around the Moorish world. 4 to the 4th power equals 256. There's 256 womb matrices. The 16 wombs of creation in duality, 16 times 16 gives us 256, which comprises the whole divination system, the divine realities within Odu Ifa. Interesting enough, the only time there's a 256 in the Quran is in Ayat 256. Surah 2, Ayat 256, which clearly explains, this is in Al-Baqarah, it is known as the verse of the sword. So Surah Al-Baqarah, the cow, remember we're talking about the bull, the cow, the Aleph, the ox. So this cow, it asserts that faith cannot be forced. There shall be no compulsion in the acceptance of religion. The right course has become clear from the wrong. There were many who were trying to force the children of Ifa Udaye, of Oya Shari'Allah, forcefully convert into this Islamic teaching. This is where Surah Al-Baqarah was revealed. And they said, you are not going to force no one. There will be no compulsion. And it was divinely written in this surah specifically. So there will be no compulsion. Meaning we are free to understand the teachings of our forefathers and not be forced into any religion whatsoever. Next slide. So now we're going to enter into some biblical scriptures, but we're going to have a clear understanding of things that have been hidden. So in 1 Peter, the second chapter, verse 5, it say, you yourselves, like living stones, are being built up as a spiritual house, to be a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. We understand that the term Jesus is a new term, We understand Yeshua was an old term, but we have to know that Eshu is the term. Eshu Elekbara is the term. So the living stones on the spiritual house, this holy priesthood, gonna offer these sacrifices accepted to God through Jesus, through Eshu. I want to say clearly that this concept of Mary and Jesus is not new to Ifa practice. We know it as Olodumare and Eshu, the sacred womb of creation and divine justice. There is no prayer, there is no offering that will ever be accepted if it is not by way of Eshu. Eshu is the only one who could bring us justice. Eshu is the only one who will accept our prayers and take it to heaven. And Eshu was the one assigned to do that. There's no way around it, according to the Ifa system. Joshua chapter 4, verse 20 to 24. And those 12 stones which they took out of Jordan, Joshua set up at Gilgal. And he said to the people of Israel, when your children ask their fathers in time to come, what do these stones mean? Then you shall let your children know. Israel passed over this Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan for you until you passed over. As the Lord your God did to the Red Sea, which he dried up until we passed over. so that all the people of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty, that you may fear the Lord your God forever. He got them stones out that river. You understand what I'm saying? And he used them in a symbolic message. Revelations 2, chapter 17. He who has an ear, let him hear that the Spirit says to the churches, to the one who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone with a new name written on the stone that no one knows except the one who receives it. You see, when you get initiated into these sacred groves, you get a new name. You understand? And we know that Jesus received the name, but it cannot be given unto those, you know. So right here, we have another revelation that is keeping us in complete alignment with the teachings of our sacred forefathers. You see, that name, they was gonna give them the hidden manna. They were gonna get a white stone, and the name was gonna be written on that stone that no one knows except the one who receives it. I'm initiated into the mysteries of Eshu. I'm a consecrated and ordained priest of Eshu. This is why I can speak freely on this. I received the name. My name is Eshu Olabode. You understand what I'm saying? That's my name. And I can testify to that process because I went to the sacred grove. I went to the river. I took that Nazarene rite. I was shaved bald. I had to wear white for a whole year. A blade is not supposed to hit my head. You get me? Because I took that vow for that whole year. That is in actuality to what in this Bible symbolically is being written. So this is the teachings of our forefathers. So next slide. But now, hold on. We got Matthew 16:18. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. You see that right there? That's letting us know. Because the word Peter is a Greek word which means pata, which means piedra. Piedra is Peter, which is a rock. So next slide. Psalms 118, verse 22. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. As you can see on the slide that was before, we see a stone that's on the corner of the wall. Anytime anyone receives Eshu, he is to be behind the door. He is the chief cornerstone that the builders rejected. He is the messenger. It is only by way of him that we can be redeemed. The remission of sin is only by way of sacrifice. And the sacrifice is to Eshu. You know, people want to say, oh, he was the sacrifice. There's no more sacrificing. He didn't come to change the law. He didn't come to abolish the law. He came to enforce the law. So, Joshua chapter 4, verse 2 through 9. He say, take 12 men from the people from each tribe and command them, saying, take 12 stones from here out of the midst of Jordan, from the every place where the priest's feet stood firmly, and bring them where you lay them down in the place where you go. Then Joshua called the 12 men from the people of Israel whom he appointed, a man from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, pass on before the ark of your Lord and go into the midst of the Jordan and take each a stone upon his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of people of Israel, that this may be a sign among you. And when your children ask in time to come, what do those stones mean to you? Next slide. Ezekiel 28:13. You were in Eden, or Bardania, the garden of El. Every precious stone was your covering. Sardius, topaz, diamond, beryl, onyx, jasper, sapphire, crafted in gold were your settings and your engravings on the day that you were created. Them stones were prepared. Those stones were prepared when you were created, when you was in there, and you was going to get that name. Isaiah 28:16, therefore, thus says the Lord God, behold, I am the one who has laid as a foundation in Zion, a stone, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone of a sure foundation. Whoever believes will not be in haste. 1 Peter 2:4. As you come to him, a living stone, rejected by men, but in the sight of God, chosen and precious. Next slide. Genesis 28:18 through 22. So early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was Luz at the first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace. And the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. And all that you give me, I will give full tenth to you. Next slide. Acts 4:11. This Jesus is the stone that was rejected by you, the builders, which has become the cornerstone. Mark 12:10. Have you not read this scripture? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. You see that stone in that corner in that picture? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Matthew 21:42 to 44. Eshu said to them, have you never read in the scriptures? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore, I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people producing its fruits. And the one who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him. Next slide.
Boy, you cooking it up.
So who's Gabriel?
Gabriel
is an archangel with the power to announce God's will to mankind as the messenger of God. So what does Gabriel mean? Gabriel means El is my strength. But what does Elegbara mean? Elegba, Gabriel, Elegba, Gabriel, Elegbara. We talk about the same thing here. They don't switch these little words around. Bariel, Gabriel, Elegbara, El Akbara is the strength of El. Ele, messenger, Akbara, power of strength, the strength of El. What's Gabriel? El is my strength. What's El Akbara? The strength of El. What are the odds? They got the same meaning. Interesting, huh? So Gabriel is this angel that showed up in that cave, in that sacred hidden place. So what is sacrificial atonement for? The Apostle Paul in the book of Hebrews 9:22 explains that without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins. What's Peter? The name Peter is of Greek origin, which means Petros, meaning rock or stone. Peter was the stone, was the rock. It was Ptah. And when we take it to Egypt, Ptah takes us into ancient Yoruba, which is Ota. Ota is another word for rock. Ptah is a builder. Peter is the rock. We're talking about the same thing. Ain't no difference. Next slide. So who came to the prophet Muhammad? Who came to the prophet Muhammad was Jibril or Gabriel or Elegbara. So in the cave, the angel Gabriel commanded Muhammad to recite. Muhammad ain't know nothing. He was like, and then he revealed the 5 verses of the Quran. In the name of your Lord, who created man from a clot. We're talking about what Obatala did. Created Adamu from that clot. Muhammad, not fully understanding, said he was not a reciter, but Gabriel repeated the command 3 times. Not once, not twice, but 3. Causing Muhammad to recite the verse and then rush home. He was distressed. He's like, I can't believe it, man. This angel just came to me and told me, bro, ain't get crucified. Which he the living stone. He the eternal one. He the rock of ages. So the angel Gabriel came to the cave to give Muhammad what? He gave him the strength of El. So why did Gabriel show up to Muhammad? Gabriel came to Muhammad to give him the strength of El. So he may be perfected and praiseworthy, because Muhammad means perfected and praiseworthy. So the degree of Muhammad is a degree of perfected man.
Hmm.
Mm.
The degree of this perfected man is to know that Allah and man are one.
One.
His son.
That's what they don't want us to know. They try to keep that from us. But when you got that alignment, that truth gonna come. So at the end of the day, this is where we at. They have tried to overshadow our truth with a whole bunch of ignorance and nonsense. They've blasphemed our ancestors. They've tried to corrupt our ways and tried to delineate us from who we are to try to put us in a perpetual state of confusion and ignorance, all by the changing of the word. You see, you change the word, you change the vibration, you disconnect. But once you know better, you're supposed to do better. You get me? And this
Wow.
is this is where we at right now. All of our forefathers have been led astray. For example, in the islands, through the transatlantic slave trade, they done steered away into the gods of the European, carrying these statues up high of all of these Catholic saints, giving praises to ancestors that ain't got nothing to do with our own cultural expression. That is a genetic imprint that's within us that cannot be forgotten. You get me? I myself maternally am a direct answer of Mande Yoruba women. My maternal haplogroup is L2E. I come from West Africa. You understand what I'm saying? Our Moorish families were over there. So redemption is by knowing truth and falsehood, separating those two
Islam.
Elmo cooking tonight, boy.
Um,
He dropping some jewels. I hope people in the chat. Ooh, we.
listen, bro. He need to write a book.
What? What?
All of this need to be put in a book.
All this need to be put in the book mode because how he putting it together, and oh man, my mind just went to so many other different places. Hey Mo, I'm over here thinking like, man, am I in Star Wars or what? Like,
Bro.
Star Wars or dang, am I in West Africa? Am I in Mali?
He shit like the brother that froze up. But everybody in the chat, please, 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 please hit, hit, hit the like button. Shalom. Shalom, mighty Hebrew. We see
Islam
you in the
Muslims.
building. Johnny Rockwell, Lavish Gamer,
Yeah,
Music Cosmic ENT, Nicholas Bay, Islam,
no, I'll say the
Islam
bad
to the family,
knowledge. Yes,
Islam to the
sir.
family, Islam to the family.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
Mo, we've been on about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Um, seems like the brother dropped. Let me see. Um, there he is. He came back.
pass
Yes, sir.
to that
Yes,
next
sir.
slide.
Yes, sir.
Islam, Mo, we're talking about how you cooking, man.
Oh yeah, man, we here, man. We here. Hey man, my phone been dying. My listen, man. I've been trying to go back and forth, trying to balance this, man. But look, we here, man. Like I said, they try to deviate us, they try to put us to the side, they try to throw us up under that rubble. But we out here, we coming out with truth and light, and we're the revealers of this truth. Prophet Noble Drew Ali set the example. He is our messenger. He is our prophet. He the one who's sitting here and redeeming us, giving us our nationality and showing us the truth. So, with that being said, the end of time and the fulfilling of prophecies, family. Us as Moorish Americans are well aware of this. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. And any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States of America. May all of our brothers and sisters be full aware and take heed to that message and understand that the world may hear and know that the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, there's still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We, as a clean and pure nation, descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale skinned nations of Europe, neither serve their gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed. for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Let that be known to all Moorish Americans worldwide. We are not Negro, brown, color, Latino, Hispanic. We are a nation who has been subjugated and has been stripped of our nationality and our birthrights. And it's time to redeem our families and unity with virtue, peace, freedom, and justice. Next slide.
Islam.
This right quick, unless brothers got something to talk about, but we're going to finish this off with the covenant of the Asiatic nations, family. So we may know that ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. So let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. And when we separate in the world, remember that relationship that binds you to love and unity. And prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brothers in adversity, assist him. If thy sisters in trouble, forsake him not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Mo.
Man,
Mo.
listen, we here, bro.
Go!
Man, listen, everybody hit the like button. Hey, support the channel. Hey, this presentation was heavy. Oh man. Hey man, you got to come back with number 2, man. You got to come
Oh
back.
yeah, we coming back, man. You gonna make me look. I did this in about 3-4 days, beloved. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna build that. We're gonna get 2 and 3. Next things we're gonna be bringing a historical record from the BC era to present day to show the relationship with Moab and Israel. You feel me? Known as the Omo Oba, because they gave us the Moab term, but we know it's Omo Oba. It's the children of the king. You get me? And Oyasher Yallah, which has been misnomed as Yasher Allah, whatever the case may be. And we're gonna have a lot of beautiful subjects to touch then.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Yeah.
Islamism. Nicholas Bey say my brother. Nicholas Bey say my brother is bringing the knowledge. Great bill tonight. Islam.
Islam. Now the plate that they do the work on. What is that made out of? I meant to ask you that earlier, but you was cooking though. And I was like, I just wait till the end.
It's supposed to be made from cedar.
Indeed. Indeed.
No.
Indeed.
Oh, what?
Sunlight. You feel me?
Yeah, sunlight.
And Daniel Omowale. Peace.
Omowale. King has returned, huh?
Peace.
Omowale. That's a beautiful name. That's the brother Jalil.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. This is the first time I've seen his name in the chat. His name is Daniel Omowale.
Okay.
I read that real. I'm surprised I didn't butcher that. I read that real.
You put that together real smooth.
Hey man, that's spirit, man. You tuned in already, bro. Ain't no going back. Hey, ain't no going back, bro. We both shot him, bro. Ain't no going back. You feel me?
Yes, well, excuse me. Well, look, Mons, I gotta get to work early.
Yeah,
so, it's a pleasure to have you on. Can't wait to number 2. Everybody, make sure y'all hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, hit the like button. Please put this video into the algorithm.
Please,
and
please.
We'll be back with number 2. Brother, honors and gratitude for this presentation, man.
You did that,
It's a pleasure, man. Peace almighty to all the brothers, man. Love and light, man. We here.
Yes, sir.
Peace almighty. Islam. And brother, I'm gonna send you the PowerPoint too, Jarvis.
Please. That's what I'm saying. See, listen.
Yeah.
We gotta stop this. Y'all can't be doing me like this. Because I know people in the chat and people all around the world be looking at me like I'm crazy when I be sitting over here, and y'all just be leaving me in the dark. And that's not
Nah, bro, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. We got some light to give, boy. They gonna have to buy a cloth and put it over their head or something.
I love that. But yeah, please send that over, man. I love to read it and dive into it. You know me, I'm universal.
Yes,
I can catch on and put two and two together.
Yes,
I feel like I got initiated tonight. I don't know. But something, you know.
Yes, sir.
Hey man, we here, man. Sacred waters run deep, man. We here.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, Islam to the family.
Islam.
We'll see y'all in the next episode.
Islam.